For Gokasho Bay Hole 3, this is one of the holes that the bigger the driver that you have, the more easier it's going to be. Here I'm basically using pretty much all my top spin and left spin, so I don't have to use as much overpower, and I can reach over to the second fairway fairly easily in a headwind scenario. I do play this at max distance with a plus 10% over adjustment of my shot, so use the driver that does have the most top spin for you just to get you across there in a headwind. You will have to use some overpower more than likely with the EM8s or EM7s. You're going to have to use overpower, so do your best. Try and get up there as far as you can. It's no big deal if you come up short because you can still reach with your sniper. For the second shot in a pretty much below 9-mile-an-hour wind, I'm going to play this at 0% elevation at the distance of my club. So here I played at max distance with a plus 0% elevation. You're usually going to use about 1 bar of topspin to get yourself to the hole. In a headwind scenario, you're going to want to overplay the rough bump by quite a lot. If it's a low headwind, 10% should be good. In a higher headwind, I would go as far as even 20%. Sometimes I have played 10% in a 10-mile-an-hour wind and I have stopped dead in the rough. So you're going to have to play with the elevation for yourself on this one. But usually it is a 0% elevation, but the higher the wind, the more elevation you're going to use because it does push the ball pretty well over that water. Here we have a tailwind, and I'm going to use a plus 10% over adjustment of my shot at max distance of my club. I'm going to use max left spin and usually around 4 bars of top spin. So you don't want to go too much top spin here because you can run long, which I have almost done. So I would actually dial it back to about 3.5 to 4 bars of top spin in a tailwind, but you want to use max left spin and a little bit of curl to get yourself across. Again, this plays at max distance with a plus 10% over adjustment of your shot, and I usually play with around half my blue ring to the rough, and it helps in case of a great left when I curl the shot. So I usually play with the blue just around the rough line, just to give myself a little bit of a great proof room. Again, if the wind is under 10 mile an hour, I would play this at a 0% elevation at the slider of your club. And if you have a wind that's greater than 10 miles an hour, I would actually add 10% to your elevation. In a headwind scenario, you can be safe and actually bounce over from the pad and bounce over to the green to be on the safe side, or do a max backspin shot. I've done the max backspin shot as well with a sniper because I just didn't enjoy a 13 mile an hour headwind. So again, you're gonna really have to overplay the headwind scenario from 10% all the way up to about 20% overplay on a headwind scenario. Again, we have another tailwind on the drive, and we're going to play this at max distance with a plus 10% over adjustment of our shot. I did use about 4 bars of topspin here, and it was a little bit too much, so I suggest dialing back on a strong tailwind to about 3.5 bars of topspin, and you should be perfectly set up for a good long iron shot to the green. So again, we're going to overplay this with a plus 10% over adjustment of our shot at max distance of our club, and then I usually give it about a quarter ball of curl. Here again for the second shot, I played at the slider of my club with a 0% elevation. Now, the stronger the wind, the more elevation I would use. So if it was over 10 miles an hour, I would probably play this with a 10% over adjustment of my shot. So you're just going to have to play with the elevation and write down what wind and what elevation worked best for you. But I have found that anything over 10 miles an hour, I'm going to add elevation about 10%. In a headwind, I'm going to really overplay the headwind and go anywhere between 10 to 20% over adjustment of my shot. So again, Anything below 10, stick with 0% elevation. In a straight tailwind, I would actually play with a plus 10% over adjustment just to be on the safe side. So again, hopefully this guide helps you guys out, and remember, hit perfect and happy golfing.